Hello, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Just Bleed Radio. Today is Sunday, June 22nd, 2025, and this is the Weekend Roundup. Back up in that ass like the resurrection. It's LazyBed, back from Baku, motherfucker. After taking our first week off since Christmas, the gang has returned, and we're fresh off of our trip to Eurasia. Our global powers are at odds. Skirmishes run amok in the region, but World War III would have to wait for one more weekend because we had ourselves a fight night to tend to in the far-off land of Azerbaijan. If you're not familiar with the region, don't be embarrassed. I can't say I'd be able to locate it on a map myself. And nevertheless, somebody somewhere paid an awful lot of money to bring the big show to town, and we're here to recap it. All the events of the night, the fights themselves, and so much more. All entwined with our usual ramblings. As we kick things off, you already know what to do. Hit that like button, sub to the channel, and give it the old JR. Ring the damn bell. New names and faces are always welcome around here. So welcome on again. Welcome on in, guys. Welcome on in. Now, without further ado, let me bring in the crew. First up, in Rockford, Illinois, where the Rock River flows, lives an MMA fan who loves fierce, fiery blows. All as young Chatri bounds with such glee, with a clean, sparkling pool. He sets summer days free. It's Dave. What's going on, player?
What's up, bitches? The condition of my pool is none of your business.
All right, and of course, DangerMouse from Yorkshire's a riotous bloke. With liquor in hand, he's as bold as an oak. On fight night, he cheers with a wild, tipsy shout. This lad's a riot till the barman kicks him out. My boy Mouse, how the hell are we?
Better than I was last night. It was more passes out than anything else last night.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, let's get to some fight talk just straight away, guys. Let's get right into it, and we will start with two evenly matched featherweights with similar records and similarly forgettable faces. It was Muhammad Naimov versus Bogdan Grad in a battle of fun hats and terrible nicknames. The Hillman, Muhammad Naimov, came into this one off of a unanimous decision over Khan Offley back in February. His opponent, Bogdan the Unleashed Grad, got a TKO finish over Lucas Alexander on that very same card. On Saturday afternoon, they once again graced the same event, only this time versus one another. A rather unremarkable performance and fight, in my opinion, but my thoughts don't matter here because I'm hosting and I can kick back and let you guys carry the weight. So we're going to go to Dave first to start us off today. A close fight, but a solid decision win here for Naimov. What were your thoughts on the main card opener?
My thoughts on the main card opener was it was a good enough fight for just a fight night opener. I kind of like Bogdan Grad. I picked him. I kind of actually thought he won, but I wouldn't debate the decision. I don't know. It was just kind of an enjoyable but not very exciting fight. Both guys showed a lot of technique and skill, and it was good enough for me.
Yeah. I kind of had the same feeling. It didn't really stand out the most, but it was a fight. And it was a fight that happened, and I sat there and I watched it. So, what can I say? How about you, DangerMouse? Naimov versus Grad. You got anything for us?
Well, I'm not going to throw things askew here and change everyone's opinion because this was definitely a UFC featherweight bout. We had Grad wanted to grapple, Naimov wanted to strike. Fortunately for us, I guess he was able to impose just enough of his game to take the decision that I actually predicted on Topology. I might have to throw Dave the thumbnail of that if I remember. Yeah, we had Naimov showing that Taekwondo background with his spinning kicks. I would like to see him in a all-out striking battle against another versatile striker, or maybe even just a boxer, just see if a boxer could close range with him. But yeah, other than that, not an exciting fight. Okay, but yeah, I predicted a decision, so I couldn't be upset with myself really.
Yeah, it could be fun to see him in there with another striker, another 145-pound guy that's going to basically make that gentleman's agreement to stand up only. Maybe like an Alex Caceres, who just unfortunately lost in Mike Perry's dirty boxing, but that could be fun.
I was going to say, hasn't he been booted from the UFC?
According to him, he hasn't been booted. He just was like given an open invitation, but it seems to me like they might not want him back now. But anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll continue, though, and we will move it along. We'll move it along to the next fight. And, boys, I am glad that these sprinklers and smoke alarms were up to code in Baku, because the next bout on the docket was a guaranteed firefight that did not disappoint. Azerbaijani-born Nazim Sadikov looked to delight hometown fans with a statement victory over Brazil's Nicolas Mota. Sadikov, a.k.a. the Black Wolf, was unbeaten in his last 10 fights, with recent wins over Ismail Bonfim, Slava Claus, and Terrence McKinney. With 7 KOs and 2 subs, only one of those 10 wins had come via judges' scorecards. Mota had won 2 in a row himself and also brought some heavy hands of his own with 10 career knockouts. And finally, the judges were not needed for the first time of the card. After withstanding a blistering onslaught from Mota in the first, Sadikov managed to surge back in the second, finishing Nicholas with a furious flurry of blows. A Longo MMA fighter finishes on top, so that makes a happy lazy. The only time I can remember where 2 guys in one fight got all 4 bonuses of the night. So Dana White awarding both Nas and Nicholas Mota $100,000 each. Hell of a fight, Mouse. Many saying a fight of the year contender in a year that has been slim pickings. What did you think of this one?
The Black Wolf unleashed, but only after facing a fierce leadership challenge from the heavy underdog, I will point out, Nicholas Mota. Early heavy contender, as you just said, for Fighter of the Year. Round 1 could maybe even be Round of the Year, with Mota throwing 91 punches. Sadikov threw 70, and then in round 2, those numbers were almost exactly reversed, because the Wolf landed 91 strikes and Mota landed 77 before he crumpled to the floor. Sadikov looked great at pretty much every range, even though most of the fight was fought in the pocket, which is fantastic. You know, he was happy to stand there and exchange, and so was Mota, obviously. But this wasn't just 2 thugs in a bar swinging haymakers. This was actually a really, really technical battle. And you only have to look at how both guys were mixing it up to head and body, if you look at the stats. And then it ended with the fantastic KO that happened in the middle of, as you said, an absolute flurry of punches. Michael Bisping said it was one of the best fights he'd ever commentated on. And whatever you might think of Mike, that is high praise indeed. Dana did, as you said, give it fight of the night, and he gave both guys a 50k performance bonus. And whilst not undeserved, that does speak somewhat to the overall quality of the card. But I did see the moment where Sadikov learned that he'd won the 100k, and that was pretty cool. And remind me, Dave, I will clip that for you.
UFC just called my phone. Susan? You got a 100k bonus. Yes!
But yeah, absolutely fantastic fight. Can't fault it. This card would quite honestly have been an absolute and utter pile of shit without this fight. So yeah, brilliant. Deserved everything it got. Fantastic fight. Can't wait to see either of these guys fight again, because you know it's going to be exciting as long as they don't get some dull-ass wrestlers to fight for the next one. Yeah, brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely deserving of fight of the night, especially when you consider some of the fucking shit that we had to sit through to get to this point. I'm sure we'll go over more of that later, but yeah, fucking phenomenal win. Really on a night of kind of some questionable refereeing and officiating, like decision making. Glad to see Lucas Busaki, a.k.a. GC from the Ariel Helwani show, let this one go a little bit longer in the first round, because I think a lot of referees, maybe under some other commissions, might have stopped this fight in the first, and we wouldn't have got to see that comeback from Nas. So happy to see it, allowed to continue and unfold and play out, because clearly he was able to withstand that fucking onslaught, and in that second round, it was a complete reversal of fortune. So
yeah. I did mean to comment on the great job that the referee did there.
Yeah, one of the few good moments.
Yeah, true.
But all right, well, Dave, what about you, sir? Hell of a scrap between two guys who really wanted this one. What do you got for the peeps on Sadikov's TKO finish over Mota?
I will say that it sounded like you went into this fight expecting fireworks, and I guess I've entered my hyper casual phase because I went into this fight expecting nothing. I actually am not familiar at all with either of these guys. And so it was, a pleasant surprise for a casual in that part to, see hell of a fight when you go in there just wondering who the hell these guys are, not expecting nothing, especially after the slow pace that had been most of the night thus far. So, it was a great fight. It was really, really cool to see both fighters get 2 bonuses. It was very unusual trying to make graphics for Mata, like KO loss of the night bonus. Like, how do I do that? But the one thing that did surprise me is I think Nazim did have Ray Longo and maybe Marab, and then John Wood in his corner. Is that true, Lazy?
Yeah, yes, he did.
So is John Wood and Ray Longo kind of got their own little new version of TriStar going with like multiple gyms working together with separate fighters, or is that just something that like Marab and Nazim and maybe a couple other fighters are doing?
It does seem like they're at least like they have like a working relationship together where they're willing to kind of let the fighters cross train. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Longo's kind of getting up there in age, and a lot of his fighters are moving away from the New York area and moving more out towards Vegas because of things like the PI and whatnot. So it makes sense to train closer to home. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so either way, the fight was a pleasant surprise for me. Like I said, I went in with low expectations, and it was a hell of a scrap, and great job by both guys. It was just really cool to see both get $100,000, and that's all I have to say about that.
If I can just jump in and say that I picked Sadik off by round 1 TKO, so I messed it up. He took a round 2-1.
So close. All right, well, dudes, what do you do when you have a 35-year-old prospect who has faced multiple generations of fighters across numerous organizations, but is yet to be tested by the UFC? You sign the contracts, you send him in the cage, and you lock the door behind he and the Cro-Magnon man. It was the promotional debut of lightweight Tawfiq Musayev as he's set to take on my Eurasian brother, Miktabek Oralbai. My titty back hadn't made the walk since October of last year, where he had a razor-close split decision loss to Mateusz Rebeski that left Rebeski looking like he fought a swarm of Afghanized honeybees. Musayev had been laid off for nearly 2 years, having not fought since November of 2023, but he did enter the promotion on a 2-fight win streak prior to this matchup. Despite a few cheeky efforts by the newcomer to cheat his way to a win, it wasn't long before Oralbai finally managed to get his hands on Musayev, at which time he locked up the Kimura and cranked that thing just a little bit past the breaking point, brother. A very nice and quite impressive win for the 27-year-old fighter whose toughest opponent seems to be the scale. Perhaps an unwanted move to 170 in his future. We go to you first this time, Dave. Takes on what we saw in the debut of Musayev and in the win for Oralbai.
I don't know. Did we determine that it was Oralbai that caused the weight to move up? I kind of figured it was just because I think he had an incident like that before, and then he came in 2 pounds heavier at the weigh-ins at like 165 versus one. So it was on him?
That's what I'm hearing, yeah.
Well, Dana said he wasn't giving him a bonus because he'd missed weight, so...
That's what's kind of facilitating his most likely move up to 170. Yeah.
So it was a great performance for him. Either way, I don't know. He's lucky that it got moved to catchweight and didn't get like canceled. There's some outrageous penalty or fine or something like that. But I really like Oralbai. I think I don't know where he's from, but I think he's fighting out of Kyrgyzstan right now. He kind of has that Himalayan look to him. I'm all about that region right now, and I've worked in that region. He's one of my guys in the catchweight division, and I can't wait to see what's next for him. I'm not that concerned. I'll let the brass handle his weight shenanigans, and I'll just enjoy him fighting. And for the other guy, tough out, man. That sucks. It's your first fight in the UFC. Shit gets, thrown askew at the last minute, coming in at 8 pounds heavier or whatnot. But, sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, and you got to take the limes and make the limeade. And, I'm sure UFC will give him another shot. So we'll see what's next for him.
Yeah, I'm sure they will too. Yeah, he's kind of a big pickup for them, really, because he came in with. I'm not the biggest Ryzen viewer or fan, but from what I understand, he was a bit of a destroyer over there. He kind of was coming into the UFC with a lot of that hype behind him, and people were expecting big things. And I don't know if, like you said, because this was a catch-weight fight and this isn't his natural weight class and the long layoff, etc. I don't know if you really hold it against him or if the UFC holds this against him, but yeah, it wasn't the best look to immediately get taken down. Like, you throw a body kick, that body kick gets caught, you immediately get taken down, and within like fucking 10 seconds you got your arm cranked up back behind your fucking head. So yeah, we'll see what happens going forward with his matchmaking. But for Oral By, I do think that they're probably going to want him to move up to 170. I don't think that they're going to fuck around with another one of these catch weights. So it's going to be on him to I guess bulk up a little bit now and size up some, even though you're already struggling with the weight, because you're going to need more size up at 170. We'll see though. DangerMouse, it's time for your crack at it. What do you got on Mick Flintstone versus Toe Fuckface Musayev?
Well, not much more that you haven't already said. Oralby managed to whisk weight by 8 pounds or 10 pounds or whatever the fuck it was. That unfortunately puts a stain on this result, which was pretty much total domination by him. If he hadn't have fucked up the weight, this would have been a great fight for him. Because as you said, every time Musayev threw a kick, Oralby grabbed it, took him down, and then when he did briefly manage to get to his feet again, what did he do? Exactly the same bloody thing. He threw another body kick. Oralby took him down, and then he cranked up that Kimura, which I forget which commentator it was, but one of them was really impressed by how the fact he kept it close to the body to apply the torque. He didn't give any chance for it to get away. And there were about 30 seconds left in that round, and there was no way that Musayev was not tapping to that. He could have just had his arms snapped into many pieces, but yeah, that was the only chance. So yeah, Oralby, being a fat fucker costs you 50k. Learn from your lesson. Move up to 170 pounds or get a better dietitian. And that's it.
Oh, yeah. One thing I did want to say, I forgot to mention, is I was super impressed with that Kimura. You don't really see them that often in MMA, or you don't see successful Kimuras leading to an actual submission. And that was just nasty. And one of my favorite submissions this year, just because of the technique and brute strength, and just because you don't see him that much.
Yeah, when you do see him, it's usually, if anything, at heavyweight, because that's a power move, like a pure strength move. That's like, there's not much other than, like you said, DangerMouse, keeping the arm close to the body. There's not a whole lot of technique to a Kimura. It's just my brute strength versus your brute strength. And yeah, man. And also, shout out to fucking Mick Oralby, because he gets a lot of shit in the MMA community. We make fun of the guy for being a caveman and whatnot. But if you dig a little bit into the dude's background, he's actually a lawyer. The guy is fucking a graduate of law school, and he's got his future sorted out when he leaves mixed martial arts. So he's a lot smarter than a lot of these other fucking douchebags we give much more credit to.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm just a caveman. I fell in some ice and later got thawed out by some of your scientists. Your world frightens and confuses me. Sometimes the honking horns of your traffic make me want to get out of my BMW and run off into the hills or whatever. Sometimes when I get a message on my fax machine, I wonder, did little demons get inside and type it? I don't know. My primitive mind can't grasp these concepts.
Yes, I saw you mention that. It might have been in, I forget, it might have been in a chat room somewhere. It might have been on the Discord. But yeah, smart guy, obviously. Looks can be deceptive.
Yeah. Don't judge a man by his lazy eye.
No.
Or just by being lazy, for that matter. Fuck. All right. let's go from prehistoric men to previously enhanced debutantes. We transition to the heavyweight division, the fight that was booked, then rebooked, and booked again. It's the man who was taking steroids like kids take candy from a trick-or-treat bowl, the Rizzler, Rizvan Kuniev, and he'd be taking on the number 5 ranked heavy, Curtis Razor Blades, in what would be his first official UFC bout. Originally booked to fight in Seattle back in February, the bout would be moved to UFC 313, but would end up being canceled a few hours prior to showtime when Blades pulled out with an undisclosed injury. Third time is a charm, however, and we found these two hefty bastards once again ready to square off. In what was certainly one of the fights of all time, two fat bastards boldly flung their meat at one another. Many saw this one going the way of the newcomer, but at the end of 15 long and sweaty minutes, it would be Curtis getting the nod. Guys, we're in a real pickle here at heavyweight. The last finish in the heavyweight division was March 15th. It was Waldo Cortez over Ryan Spann. That was over 3 months ago. So we've gone 3 months without a finish in the heavyweight division. Tough scenes. Surely you're both dying to discuss this fight, so don't step all over one another. Get to it. Well, we'll go with Mouse first. DM, wax poetic on Blades versus Kuniev. Things are suddenly wide open at heavyweight, so what do you got?
Yeah, this was a pretty mid, in fact, a pretty bad heavyweight bout. I guess there were a few nice exchanges in that second round at least. And yeah, I picked Curtis, but I almost wish Kuniev had won just to give the official UFC heavyweight champion, Tom Aspinall, a new name on his resume. As it was, we ended up with a split decision, and arguably Blades didn't even deserve that. He did call out Gan afterwards, which is kind of funny, because if Gan isn't gifted another title shot, we might get to see that fight. Personally, I'd rather see Gan fight Almeida, but we're on a completely different tangent there. Yeah, just very heavyweighty, not good. I'm struggling. I actually thought that Blades was going to take him down at the first start, and he did. And then I saw a tweet about it saying, like, Blades' first takedown in about 10 years or whatever the fuck it was. And I was like, oh shit, is he not known for that? Obviously, casual's eye on this fight. Yeah, disappointed. Would have liked to see more from Curtis Blades, seeing as he's ranked at, what was it, 4 or something? 4 or 5.
3, I want to say 3.
And there were a few people. There were a few people.
5. Sorry, 5.
Yeah, 5. There were a few people touting his name to have a go at Tom Aspinall. Not on that performance. No. Beat up Cyril Gan, and then maybe you can have a shot at a belt again. But yeah, that's about it. I haven't really got anything to say on this one. Kuniev, yeah, as you said, all juiced up apparently back in the day. Yeah. Before, if you see pictures of him before coming to the UFC when he was in the PFL, because he took on the guy that last fought Francis Ngannou, Renan Fajeda, in the PFL, and when he was in the PFL, boy, this guy was he was a brick shithouse. And then post popping for the multitude of steroids he was on, because he was not just on 1 or 2 steroids, he was on all the steroids. But yeah, his physique has since changed. But for me, man, like, a lot of people are saying this was just a bad, flat performance from Curtis Blades. And they're not giving Kuniev a lot of credit. I think Kuniev deserves a lot of the credit for the way the performance from Blades looked. And I think that this was just a terrible, terrible look for Curtis Blades. If you're a Blades fan, a supporter, a touter, like, oh, man, like... He did say something about twinging his ACL in the first round.
He did say that, yeah. So. I don't know, man. That looked really, really bad for a guy that most everyone expected you to put away easily. So anyways, so much to say, so many things to break down and ponder. Dave, tell us about the total blast you had watching Curtis Blob versus Jizzman Cootie Legs.
I don't have much to say. I didn't expect more out of Curtis Blades, especially when I saw that, he was ranked 5 and the other guy wasn't even ranked. And then I realized, maybe he just wasn't ranked because he hasn't fought in the UFC. I mean, he did fight in the contender series and won in the first round or whatever, but I wasn't familiar with his PFL run. And even considering that, I almost expected Blades to kind of do a lot better, considering he's, former title contender level. And, it's only a 3-round fight, but he did forget his wrestling the first couple rounds. I did also find it really humorous, the stat about it being his first takedown in a few years, or his first completed takedown in a few years, given that I think he came into the UFC touted as a grappler. And, well, of course, he did get caught a couple times shooting takedowns and whatnot. Like, he was actually winning the, Derek Lewis fight, I thought, until he did that ill-timed takedown and got slapped. But, this was just a middleweight, heavyweight fight. Blades did not look great. Like, everything Mouth said is everything you guys said is pretty much correct. There's not much else to say. We'll see what's next for Rizvan, and hopefully he can live up to that Dagestani background.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, come, Tuesday morning when the new rankings come out. What do they do with him? Because your first fight in the fucking promotion and you're beating the number 5 guy in the division. Like, they better be shooting him up into that top 10 at very least. I don't know if they'll give him his number directly, but he's got to be top 10 bound. And if there's one positive you could give Curtis Blades or take away from his performance, a lot of people doubted his chin coming into this. Like you mentioned, Dave, he's been cracked several times, and that's kind of been his Achilles heel, is the chin hasn't always withstood heavyweight shots, and he was eating them yesterday. He was taking them and withstood them all and didn't get laid out. So that's one upside if you're Curtis Blades, and you did maintain your rankings. So yeah, we'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah, he was kind of punched up at the end, wasn't he? Wasn't his face kind of beat up pretty good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a couple of those replays where that sweat was just flying off of his fucking head as he was getting battered by Kuniev. But we'll go ahead and we'll move it along now, because, gentlemen, we come now to the co-main event for this first ever foray into Azerbaijani territory. Boy, that's hard to say. Fellas, the vibes and I were both sky high heading in, I'll tell you that much. We were in store for an absolute treat as number 14 ranked 155er Rafael Fiziev readied for war against the man with the most sensual name in the UFC, Ignacio Bahamondes. The Adamant Fiziev, a graduate of the Kyrgyzstan Police Academy. How about that? Came into this one riding a 3-fight loss streak, 2 to Gagey with 1 to Gamrot in between. He last competed just 3 months ago, however, in the second of the Gagey matchups. Bahamondes, still just 27, was sitting on an opposite 3-fight win streak with W's over Jalen Turner, Manuel Torres, and Christian Giagos. An interesting clash of styles and body types that was sure to lead to a fun fight. Or would it? Your mileage may vary, but it was at least an active affair, and that activity would primarily go in favor of Rafael Fiziev, who manages to secure a sound decision win over the Chilean Bahamondes. Dave, not the most insane fight ever. I would say it was a respectable one, though. What did you think of the performances here by Rafael and Nacho?
Of course, I was rooting for Rafael Fiziev, former Kyrgyzstan citizen. In 2021, he switched to Azerbaijan, but still an old boy from one of my favorite countries over there. It was an excellent matchup. Ignacio Bahamondes throws lots of fun, like spinny kick type strikes where, he whips his whole body around and he kicks him up high. And that ended up being tailor-made to feed right into Mr. Matrix Fiziev's striking defense. So, like, against other fighters, he might have done a lot of damage, but it really kind of highlighted Fiziev's defense, just being able to kind of duck out of the way of those. And, he showed at 32 he still got it. He fought a much bigger guy. I mean, he's like 7 inches taller or something like that. So it was a great win for him, one that he needed to prove that he's still at the top. It wasn't a bad loss for Ignacio. I think he's still going places. He'll just learn from this one and get better. Good fight, though.
Yeah. And I agree about the spin kicks. They looked nice. They looked real pretty, and they were fun to watch. But 2 or 3 of them, sure. But after the 4th, 5th, and 6th one that aren't fucking coming close to landing, like maybe stop throwing giant fucking spinning attacks. Like clearly he's reading that shit from a mile away, because he was like you said, he was going full on Fiziev Matrix in there, and it was just, yeah, kind of a defensive masterclass in a lot of ways from Fiziev, because he really wasn't getting touched up too much at all. And Nacho with the height advantage, the reach advantage, and what Bilal Muhammad claimed was the best striking in the UFC, which turned out to not exactly be the case. But anyway, neither here nor there. I say that in tribute to Austin, who's not here. Danger, not as phenomenal a fight, in my opinion, as it could have been, but it was still pretty fun. I'll give it that much. But give us the Count of Casuals recap on our co-main event.
Okay, well, I blame Lazy for me getting this pick wrong with his enthusiasm. His enthusiasm for Ignacio Bahamondes, and him talking about Fiziev going down in weight. And then I blame myself for not even realizing this was now a home fight for Rafael. This was the dance of the stances. Both guys looking for an opening. Another very technical fight, but without the same levels of excitement that Sadikov and Mota gives, I would say. We had the bit that amused me most on this was the sweat talk from one of the commentators saying that Bahamondes was sweating so much, and you don't have to have that much of a knowledge about sports physiology. If you sweat a lot, that means you're really, really fucking fit, generally speaking. It's a sign of fitness. So yeah, that guy needs to get a lesson in physiology. Well, very brief anecdote. I complained to my mate when I was training for my first Dan, and that I was sweating like a pig, and I knew I was fit as a butcher's dog at that time. And he was like, "Yeah, it's because you're getting fitter." I was like, "Oh, right, shit, okay." So there you go, minor anecdote. But as already been mentioned, Fiziev is just a master of range, and as already been said, he fights like he's in the Matrix sometimes. Those punches and kicks just missing by the smallest margins. A kind of impressive yet not very exciting fight, I would say. It never felt like a finish was coming, although Fiziev did seem to put his foot on the gas a little bit in the third round. Great fight. I expected Bahamondes to pick it up kind of in the second and third rounds, maybe go for some grappling, and he didn't. And I think if he had gone for the grappling, those long limbs of his might have helped him against Fiziev, because they're obviously great for getting chokes and whatever the hell, triangles. So yeah, a bit of a mess up maybe by Bahamondes, but as Dave said, not a great disservice to his career. Fiziev's obviously very, very good. I'd forgotten just how bloody good he was because of the fights against Gaethje, I guess, and the unlucky loss against Gamrot. Well done, Fiziev. Moving on upwards, I guess he should get a very nice fight next. I don't know who, because lightweight's pretty hot at the moment. But yeah, good fight.
Yeah, it was a good one. And definitely, one of the first times in a while where we've actually had a co-main worthy fight. This was two guys, with names and reputations on the line and in front of a hometown crowd. The people were absolutely fucking hyped. They were enjoying the shit out of this one. In fact, they enjoyed it so much that they left before the main event. It was very late there, so I don't blame them. But yeah. Good win for Fiziev, man. And like Dave kind of mentioned, I think that it's not a terrible loss for Nacho. I think this is a loss that's going to age pretty well, and I think that he can bounce back from this. So, especially at his age and with his intangibles, the things that you can't teach, yeah, I think he can bounce back. So, we'll see it back in here soon, Nacho.
For sure.
Okay, bleeders. Do you hear that? You hear that off in the distance? The drums of war are sounding. The masses call for blood. It is main event discussion time, and it all went down at 205 pounds. Top 10 light heavyweights towed the line when number 4 met number 7. I speak, of course, of Jamal Hill versus Khalil Rountree Jr. This fight, much like the earlier Blades and Kuniev pairing, was in its third incarnation, originally slated to meet at UFC 303 a year ago. The first booking would be derailed by Khalil testing positive for DHEA due to a tainted supplement. The two were then booked to headline a fight night. That was Gary versus Protez back this past April, but Hill would pull out with a lingering leg injury. And here we find ourselves in June of 2025, and we finally got to see these two go at it. Jamahal Hill is 34 years of age. He was sitting on a UFC record of 6-3. He came into this one 1-2 in his last 3. This, of course, including a long layoff due to an unfortunate Achilles tear. His most recent fight was the round 3 TKO at the hands of Yuri Prochazka back in January. Khalil Rountree Jr. is 35 years old and came in with a UFC record of 9-6. He was 2-1 in his last 3, with the most recent being the title fight loss to Poatan in October of last year. This was a fight that many anticipated would be fairly competitive in the build, but once the cage door locked, the game plan became very apparent for Khalil. Attack the wheels of Hill early and often. The two exchanged calf kicks in the first, yet it was easy to see that those thrown by Rountree were far more effective. From there, it was a virtual masterclass in cold and calculated striking, leading to a decisive victory for Khalil Rountree Jr. in his awesome custom new trunks. DangerMouse. I heard lots of people complaining about this main event after the fact. I, for one, thought it was very entertaining, though. Maybe that was my bias. What were your thoughts on the fight from both men? Did you find it entertaining?
Well, I hadn't seen this fight when I came downstairs this morning. I was waiting to see it. But I did see some MMA media on the subject, but we will get to that on the end because I've written some shit out for this. So, March of 34, we do script some little bits of this, or I do it anyway. It's kind of funny. Khalil Rountree coming out with these standing hammer fists to start the. I think that was the first blow he threw, which would have been hilarious if he'd landed and knocked Hill out from that first blow. I would have died of laughter at that point. But we ended up with another chess match in round 1. Majority of the strikes thrown were leg kicks. Pretty close round. I saw Aaron Bronstetter scored it for Khalil. Round 2 it was leg kicks, and they were starting to pay dividends for Khalil. It really, really affected Hill's ability to plant his feet and get any power into his punches. So that round was just marginally risky target practice for Khalil, I thought. Round 3 is where I think I fell asleep last night. It had been a long day with an early start to the drinking because of the time the show started in the UK. I did watch it today, as I've just said. A couple of really nice punches landed from Khalil. He did knock Hill down once or twice, and I believe he tied the record for knockdowns with, I don't know which fighter it was. I didn't manage to remember
You did.
that.
Thank you for mentioning that,
Yeah. And then, round 4, Khalil really turned up the heat a little bit. Well, he turned up the heat a little bit. He started loading up with some heavy shots. There weren't a lot of strikes thrown in that round, but it was Khalil who was throwing and landing the heavier blows. And it amused me at the end of the round because Hill apparently needed telling that he was down in the fight. I was like, I know it was close, but have you really been paying attention? Round 5, we had no glove touch, which I kind of like. I thought it was great. These two obviously haven't liked each other for very much, and they didn't seem to make it up very well after the fight. Round 5, another round for Khalil. He didn't manage to get another knockdown, which I was hoping and praying for after I'd heard that record was in danger. It didn't happen though, but he easily took the 5th round. Easy 50-45 fight for Khalil. What did I think of the fight? First off, it was a little better than I've been led to believe, especially from the 3rd round onwards. Was it a great performance by Khalil? I think it depends what you mean by great. If you think great is sticking to a plan, imposing your will and picking your opponent apart, if that's great, then this fight was great because that's exactly what Khalil did to Hill. If you're rating greatness by excitement, then probably not. I'm not going to hate on Khalil's performance. I was one of those who cheered when he was kind of gifted with the title shot, but he showed in that fight that he was underrated, and now after claiming Hill's fight, he has a top 5 ranking. So great job by Khalil Rountree. I think the critics have been a little bit too harsh on you. I did have some scripting written down where I called this fight mid, and I think that's probably unfair. It was marginally above average. There were just so many strikes thrown in it. I did mean to count them up, but I'm guessing that there were less strikes thrown in this fight than probably in the first round of the Sadikov fight.
That's true.
But congratulations, Hill. Keep plowing your way onwards. I guess maybe you'll get a fight against Ankalaev. Who knows?
Yeah, I thought it was a fun main event. Like it wasn't a knockdown, drag him out, slobber knocker, barn burner. No, but that was intentional because Khalil was just getting in there and fucking. I mean, he was pulverizing Jamahal. He was beating the shit out of the leg. He was smacking him with those giant fucking overhands. He was clipping him with fucking uppercuts on the inside. Like, it looked to me like he was more or less doing whatever he wanted to do. And in the process, not getting himself damaged or fucked up, kind of staying fresh, staying available, being ready. Like you kind of mentioned, Mouse, for a potential, maybe a short notice fill-in slot in an important fight that, you wouldn't get otherwise. But to me, I thought it was just a smart game plan, and I thought he executed well, and I thought he picked fucking Jamahal apart and really just made Jamahal look bad, look terrible. I said it all week long. Jamahal, his terrible, horrible, horrendous footwork was going to get exposed in this fight. His big, floppy, fat, stupid feet were going to be the downfall of him, and that's exactly what happened. Like, there's actually a clip of Jamal's footwork, and maybe I'll share it for Dave to throw into the episode. But
you should do.
I mean, come on, the guy looks like he's wearing snowshoes out there. He's terrible, absolutely terrible. But anyways, Dave, my man, an extremely fun fight. If you like seeing systematic striking, in my personal opinion, what do you got to say on the win for Khalil and the loss for Jamahal in the main event of UFC Baku?
It was all right. Like, I don't know. Yesterday during the fight, I heard talks of like technical thriller. I was just kind of like, after hearing DangerMouse, I would say it's more of like technical, marginally above average, more than a technical thriller. But it was a good performance from Khalil. I would like to shout out poor man's Lyoto Machida, Elias Theodoro. I think he was the first person in the modern era to throw one of those standing hammer fists. So love to see Khalil still putting those to use. Everything that Lazy said was right, except for me thinking I don't think it was like that exciting. But everything else I agree with. And Moss was also pretty spot on. Excellent performance from Khalil. Jamahal looked kind of stupid out there. One thing I did like is Khalil threw a lot of good feints that really got big reactions out of Hill. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And, I'm not really sure what we're even doing with this fight. I mean, I guess it will be nice to see Khalil take Jamal's rank. But at this point, I'm not even sure rankings matter, considering he's coming off of a title fight, ranked 7th, and Hills recently had title shots. And so I'm not sure how much rankings matter, but I guess it will be nice to see him have a more appropriate number next to his name. And, for the most part, my biggest takeaway from the fight can be summed up by my friend J.K. Puffinspliff. No Muay Thai march, no tapes. What the fuck are those shorts about, Khalil? That's the biggest takeaway from the fight.
I mean, he fought pretty Muay Thai savvy for what it's worth. I mean, he certainly wasn't out there fighting like a NCAA Division I wrestler. I mean,
that wasn't Bangkok ready, Khalil. That was Khalil.
Yeah, true. I did like the way he opened the fight, though. That slow march forward, that was pretty fucking cool.
Oh, dude, it looked like he was having a stroke or something at the beginning, wasn't he? Like standing there with his arms just down, like just kind of. I forgot about that. That was weird. I'd never seen that before.
No, I've never seen nothing like that either. It was cool though. I was like, man, he's really in the fucking zone.
Maybe he was hoping Hill was going to rush in and he was going to land that hammer fist to kill him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good take.
All right. Well, boys, that is the main card, but we have much more yet to discuss. So how's about we dive into some of these preliminary matchups and hit the listeners with our best of the rest? Often, this is actually the more entertaining portion of the night, so perhaps in the future, we ought to make the main card the best of the rest. Nevertheless, not on this card, however, not on this one. DangerMouse, why don't you take the first crack and hit us with your favorite fight of the prelims?
Hey, the prelims. Nadia versus Park has to be brought up. Another great job by a referee. Instantly called a timeout after that knee to the head. Took 2 points for the combination of eye pokes and the illegal knee. Park must have been at least mildly concussed in that one, but obviously he was never going to quit. I saw the doctor being brought in and asking him to cover his eye and check whether he could see. But the doctor said yes, so Park said yeah, and it was let's fucking go. And I did think for a moment Park had, when he gave up his back, I thought he might have made a mistake, but he powered through that, proceeded to destroy Nardiev. He was having a great time. He was smiling at his team when he was trying to get the rear naked choke. And I was actually called in this one as a possible fight of the night. We ended up with, I think it was a very rare score of 29-25 from one judge. I believe Lazy's probably got the notes on this one. He's going to fill us in, hopefully anyway. Now I've bigged him up. I think we haven't had this one, I believe, since John Jones against Anthony Smith, which is kind of ironic given the other topic of this week. Other one I have to mention was Claudia Segula, because I picked Irina Alexeeva, the Russian Ronda. I picked her to get a decision win on this one, and Segula absolutely pieced her up 30-27, looked pretty good on the striking, landing pretty sharp 1-2s, and almost always following up with a leg kick at the end of it, which if I'd have known that Segula had moved to ATT Coconut Creek and was training with Dakota Dicheva and Kayla Harrison and God knows, all the other fantastic female fighters that are fighting at that gym at the moment, has to be the top female gym at the moment. I know Lazy posted a fantastic picture on the Discord, so Dave can throw that one up. Segula blew me away. I didn't expect the pretty fighter to win this one, and she did. She absolutely destroyed Alexeeva. So yeah, great job by Segula. Took me by surprise. And of course the other one, Silk Hyun KO, who defeated Oban Elliott by unanimous decision. I expected Oban Elliott to get this job done, not in the first round. I thought second round or perhaps third round, he would wear the early storm from Kyo and get a takedown and maul him up and smash him up on the ground or something like that. And because I thought Ko, being the Korean Tyson, was going to be an absolute danger with his fists, which I'm sure he is. What I didn't know was that he's a fucking black belt at judo as well. And every time Oban Elliott got the underhooks, Ko was like, oh, thank you very much. I'll just do an Ogoshi, a hip throw, and toss you onto the floor. And that's what he did for most of the fight. Every time Oban Elliott tried to get it up close against the cage, he ended up on the floor. And Ko proved to be pretty good, because you might not know it, but judo is not just throws. They also do ground grappling and submissions, as Ronda Rousey pointed out all those years ago, which is something I might bring up, that judo is starting to make a bit of an impact in the sport, but we might save that for a Sunday night scuffle. So yeah, that's me done on the prelims. Probably gone on a bit there, but...
No, that was good. That was good, actually, because I am going to sit this one out. I don't have a preliminary fight that I would like to highlight. You pretty much touched on everything there, Mouse, and you did bring up the Anthony Smith-John Jones fight, which was the last time that we seen the double point deduction. Only thing I'll say there is I felt like that should have been a DQ. I felt like that was, if there was ever an instant DQ moment, that was it. Clear as day, a legal fucking strike. Very, very impactful. Clearly was changing the trajectory of the fight in a horrible place. The big ass fucking cut on the eye. Like, if there was ever a time to DQ a guy, that was probably it. But hey, what the fuck do I know? Because he, Park ended up winning that fight, so let's go fucking Iron Turtle. Yeah, just preliminary fights were not much to remark on. But either way, Dave, let's get you up next. Taking a gander at the earlier fights of the night, was there any of these preliminary Baku brawls that got you all hot and bothered?
Yeah, absolutely. But you guys had already said everything I wanted to say about all of them. So once again, I will give props to the ref for taking 2 points, and I wholeheartedly agree with everything he said. So instead, I'll give a shout out to ESPN Plus for being a fantastic app and getting worse and worse with every update, from getting rid to picture-in-picture. So now when I'm out west watching on my mobile, I can't watch ESPN and do anything else. And now they've gotten rid of screenshots and streaming the screen, and they've updated the commercials to make them a disaster. So thank you for saving me the $9.99 a month or whatever the hell it costs.
Add us to a fucking growing list of disgruntled ESPN Plus customers. Fucking dickheads.
Yeah, so other than that, great job. It was also a huge upset with the Polish girl getting the win over Russian Roundup, but you guys covered all that. Yep,
yeah. Bad night for old LazyBed and picking the women's fights. Bad night. Okay, well, come on, come quickly with haste. It's time for a number we shove in your face. You know what it is, gang. Put on your thinking hats because it's time to rate that card. A brand new market, a whole new world. We were treated to a night to remember in Azerbaijan. Dave, on this day after the night before, what rating are you hanging on UFC Fight Night Hill versus Rountree Jr.?
I'm going to rate the card a 7. I mean, like, it was kind of dull. But, I mean, the fights were good enough. They just weren't overly exciting, but some good enough fights, some good moments. And, you know, I really like the fact that they went to Baku. Like, they don't go to different places that much, and they had 3 fighters from the region in that card. And even though the stadium wasn't that full, I really love them getting out of the Apex and having some fights in new and exciting regions and showing off some home talent there. So that earned some bonus points for me, so I'm going to give it a 7.
That is far, far more generous than I'm going to be, but we're going to go to DangerMouse next. Mr. Mouse Danger, you're a long ways away from Baku, but you are our link to a different side of the world. How did this fight night stack up for an Englishman like you? What's your rating for the UFC's very first trip to Azerbaijan?
Okay, some good points by Dave there about the crowd and the location, and the UFC going to different locations, and it's obviously better than the Apex. But for this card, I'm known as a huge Eminem stan. At least I am on the Discord. But this week, I'm delving into another rapper's catalogue to score this week's card. Yeah, I'm going Renegade, and I'm giving this pile of shit card a 4.44. How could I score it any higher? One great fight, one controversial fight. This is where I put a mid-main event, which I'm upgrading slightly. And I might have scored it lower, but I thought of the reference to 444 and I ran with that. So think yourself lucky, Dana. And yeah, that's me done.
All right, well, for me, not good at all. I want to say this is now 13 of the last 16 UFC fights have ended by decision. We are on a very, very bad stretch. The most enjoyable part of this card for me was it being on at a reasonable hour of the day and it ending early enough that I had some of my evening still available to me. I really didn't have much fun watching these fights. They were boring. They were full of terrible fight IQs. Yeah, I didn't enjoy it. They were in a new location. They weren't in the Apex, but it sure fucking felt like the Apex. There was no fucking atmosphere from the crowd other than maybe 1 or 2 fights when their hometown guys were out there. Other than that, they had nothing. I'm going to do a Jed Mashu here, and I'm just going to give it 1 point for each of the fights that I enjoyed. And that means that this card gets a whopping 3 from LazyBed. This is a 3.
Oh. I've been outdone. But I suspected this might get a 3 somewhere.
I like it.
Yeah. So we have 7.44 plus 7, 14.44. 7.7, no, it's 6.77. Yeah, got my maths wrong there. No, 7.7.
I was hoping for all prime numbers, but...
All right, no, sorry. Never mind.
All right, my dudes. Well, we will wrap up today with a few remaining stories that we can quickly dig into, much like you dig into that cold pizza sitting in the fridge at 3 a.m. after copious amounts of beers and Bing rips. It's time once again to silence our MMA munchies with a batch of Lazy's leftovers. All right, first story, guys. First story, and we got to get into it. We got to discuss it at least a little bit here, because I'm sure we're going to discuss it more later. Jon Jones has finally retired. He finally called it a career. He drops the belt or gets stripped, whatever you want to call it. And Tommy Aspinall is now the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. The goat chicken duck is no more. I don't know who wants to go first, but what do you got on Jon Jones retiring? Let's be quick.
Yeah, glad to see the back of him, to be honest. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, he's the GOAT and all the rest of it. And we can have a discussion about that maybe on Sunday Night Scuffle. But yeah, he's been hanging around. We should go all rounders there, hanging around. Stinking up the division, stopping us going anywhere with it. And maybe he was thinking that he was going to fight. I don't know. But apparently the UFC offered him the fuck you money that he asked for, and he still turned it down. So yeah, all I can see of John right now is you ducked Francis, you ducked Tom. There was doubt with Francis, but now that you've ducked Tom as well, there's no fucking doubt now. So yeah, congratulations, worthless heavyweight reign as a champion. Delayed the division. At least now we're going to get Tom back, and I'm hoping and praying that Tom's going to fight twice this year, because I could really do with 110 points in the draft, and I'm sure he's going to oblige me. So yeah, goodbye, and good riddance.
Dave, what do you think? John Jones is gone. Tom Aspinall, undisputed champ.
I think Luke Thomas said it best when he basically said,
but I feel like probably the most of you, that the last however long this guy's been fucking around, I feel cheated out of the rest of that time. Full on cheated. We waited all this time for this, for a press conference in Baku, Azerbaijan, to declare that here's another champ not giving the weight belt back to, or not putting it up for grabs after everything the sport did for him. It's fucking crazy to me, man. It's crazy to me. Unbelievable. This is the way it ends. At a post-fight press conference for a fight night in Baku, Azerbaijan. Who had that one on their bingo card?
It just feels like such a huge waste since Stipe versus Jones, or potentially even before them. Waste of time for Tom Aspinall. You know, he should have been undisputed champ. I don't know if his pay has been any different, but I guess Dana said they're going to make it up to him. So, that's good. It's just been one of the bigger colossal wastes of time in MMA. I can't help but figure that how does it not have something to do with the timing of the latest John Jones police news?
Yeah.
I mean, immediately after it's announced, the John Jones police news came out like an hour or two after that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I saw Lynchy had announced it, and then another channel I watch, they mentioned it as well. I did...
There are no coincidences in the world, and the timing of those two things being announced at the same time is just unbelievable.
Yeah, quite possibly. I thought Guru, I watched Guru's take on it as well this morning, and he was like, he thinks that after the Nelt Boys interview, the Full Send podcast or whatever it was, John stormed off set drunk and then got home and went, fuck it, I've had enough of this thing, I'm quitting. And he rang Dana up while he was drunk, and he was pissed off after the podcast when the guy threw him the off-piece question.
Or maybe it was while he was high on mushrooms and with the naked lady in his car, or whatever the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I don't think Guru knew about that at the time. So
it's a better sport without you.
Yeah. That's my main takeaway. Is just forget John Jones, forget Tom Aspinall, forget Dana White. We let a whole fucking division just waste away for basically 2 years on useless fucking nonsense. And now we got to try to quickly get it fucking back on track. And it's just that for a long, long time, the heavyweight division was the division. It was the baddest man on the planet. And it's a sad, sad state to see where it sits currently, because it's a shadow of its former self. But hopefully now that things are seem to be on the up and up, Tommy can get more active like he wants to be. He can start racking up some defenses, and we can get heavyweight back to the glory that it once formerly held.
Yeah.
But we're going to move on.
If we're going to just jump in with one more thing before you move on. It was on the Discord. I forget who checked it, but John's AI written retirement tweet. I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
I think that was Daz. Shout out Daz.
Yeah, and then John's record, I saw that had been upgraded on, what's his name? I can't think of the name of the app.
I will say he's also, I guess he's already been removed from rankings or something like that, which is
as of
unusual.
like an hour after they made the announcement, he was removed from the rankings.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, I was on about John's record being upgraded with Lost by Fear to Tom Aspinall.
Oh, yeah.
That's one widely. That was fun.
All right. Well, for the sake of time, we're going to move along, though. Quickly, just very quickly, a little opinion piece for me. Personally, in my humble opinion, I think that the LFA and BKFC won the weekend. If you're looking for some combat sports to go back and watch, I would say don't bother going back and watching UFC Baku. Check out LFA from the weekend, a very fun co-main event with Fumi Nakuda from Ray Longo's Longo MMA, who remains undefeated and should be in the fucking UFC. What the fuck are you guys doing? Get Fumi Nakuda in the fucking UFC. One of the best flyweights in the world. Stop fucking around. And also in the main event, Bia Mesquita, who also trains at America Top Team with Dakota Ditcheva and Claudia Segulia and all these other ladies. She had a phenomenal win in the main event against a very, very large, gigantic woman. I forget the girl's name, but she's a bantamweight fighter, and she was 5'11". And Bia Mesquita, very, very well accomplished Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist, like a 10-time world champion, member of the IBJJF Hall of Fame. Went out there, absolutely fucking handled her, ended it very, very quickly. She now moves to, I think, 5-0 in her very short MMA career. She's only been competing professionally for like a year. Only problem with her is she's like 34 years of age, so time is short. She's going to do anything. She's going to have to do it now, do it very, very soon. And then for BKFC, that was just a fun event overall. And then I wanted to mention, on BKFC, we had a couple of UFC fighters pick up W's. Jessica I, Cleveland's own, she picked up a W against former UFC fighter whose name's escaping me. The chick that was homeless, I can't remember her name, Agapova or some shit like that. But yeah, Jessica I beat her. And then also Andre Arlovsky, man. Andre Arlovsky continues to carve up these fucking dudes. He's 46 years of age, got his first win in the BKFC. Is looking like he's slated to be the next heavyweight title challenger against Ben Rothwell. So fun night of fights from the BKFC and the LFA. But that's all for me. And our final topic of the day that we have to touch on, Dana White also announcing last night at the post-fight press conference, the UFC in 2026 planning to more than double the amount of Dana White Contender Series bouts, which could be a good thing or could be a bad thing. I like Dana White's Contender Series. I enjoy the fights. But if we're getting double the amount of Contender Series fights, that means we're getting double the amount of Contender Series signees. That means we're going to have a lot more of these fucking guys fighting on main cards of fight nights pay-per-view. So get ready for a lot more dudes with fucking low-level records that you don't recognize in 2026. So what do you guys think about the UFC doubling their Apex events next year?
Not happy, I wouldn't say.
To me, I think I agree with what you said. Everything you said is my concerns.
I don't think it can be good for the sport, really. I'm sure Austin would have a full-on rant about this, but unfortunately, he's not here.
It's primarily the main driving force behind the renovations that they're doing at the Apex is holding more events of their own there, and then also they're going to be renting it out on like a event-to-event basis to like the WWE and skateboarding or something like that. So yeah, they're going full warehouse at the Apex. So look forward to it.
Don't get me wrong. If there's more Road to the UFC fights during the week, you know we're going to watch them. Almost likely anyway.
Yeah, going to be a lot more Contender Series signees this year. So buckle up for that, guys. Buckle up for that.
Got to keep that wage bill down.
All right. Well, anybody else got anything else they want to mention?
No.
Oh, just one thing from, I guess, MMA media world. The guy Mojahed Fudela, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, my friend, I apologize, who does all the hilariously funny animated videos. And I think he got some kind of warning from YouTube about the content of them. So he's now started putting up big warnings that it's all fictional and it's all a joke and all the rest of it, which just makes the videos even funnier. And it just makes me think, how fucking stupid is the world that some guy who's making 3D animated videos has to tell you that they're not serious. is, has the world become so stupid? Please tell me that's not so. So yeah, that's it for me. My rant over.
I wish I could tell you that, but I'm afraid that I can't, because I think it is. Well, all right, my guys. We ventured to foreign lands. We avoided war for a time, and the whole thing wrapped up at a respectable hour. Baku was nothing out of the ordinary, but it sure was a lot of fun. Even if I didn't get a cool hat to take home with me, god damn it. Hopefully, you all enjoyed the program. If you did, then please do slap that like and subscribe. We're back here next Monday morning, right on schedule, for DM to host our coverage of UFC 317, aka International Fight Week. Let's go. So, until we meet again, they've been Dave and DangerMouse. I've been LazyBed, and this has been the Weekend Roundup. See you, fuckface.
Bye.
Ta-ra until next time.
Ending now.
Or should I say Khalil? Because I believe that's how he likes it pronounced. So that's good enough for me. Yeah, I can't go back to Khalil. That's too awkward for this guy. Round where we're taking a quick break here, so I can grab a drink.
Oh, you want to take a break? Sure.
Yeah, that's what I put in the chat.
Oh, yeah, just
I never even mentioned cookies, honestly. Yeah, have a quick bing rip, and back in a couple of minutes.
all right.
Literally only a couple of minutes. I'm just popping the cap off this beer and then I'm ready to go.
Here, I'm here.